Sentinels versus Loud. I don't know what the Super
Sentinels
Bowl
versus
numbers
Loud.
were. Probably pretty big, but it ain't touching whatever this is gonna do.
If you don't pick G2, you're a... I personally think that anybody who thinks that they should be playing Pancada over Zellsis just doesn't understand sports teams.
Woo!
You're sports pilling me so hard right now. I'm so sports pilled myself that I have
Sadak is Patrick Mahomes.
Whoa, okay.
People
Loud is gonna pull Sentinels in the shit. They're gonna pull them into the mud. I know it. They're gonna...
Sentinels are winning it.
This is getting too real for me right now. Like this is actually getting too real for me right now.
Could we actually send Sentinels out straight away? That would be so funny.
I'll go out on a limb and say they will be the best NA team this year.
Whoa, that is... We have gone off the rails. What is going on? What's next? EG are winning champs again. The haters. Welcome to Cosmic Divide, episode number 18, I'm told. Despite there being 20 things in this playlist, Elevated refuses to change the number, even with mounting evidence that he is wrong, like he is on many different things, and there will be much evidence for many things he is wrong about in just a couple weeks when we do our Pickems later in the episode. But welcome to Cosmic Divide. I'm TMV. I'm joined by the man across the pond, as they say. Does anyone say that anymore? Don't know. But how are you doing, Elevated? Are you excited to do a podcast with me today?
I'm always excited to do podcasts with you because it gives me a chance to feel smart. But yes. Just
yeah,
to be
because
clear,
I impart that wisdom to you and then you just feel so knowledgeable all of a sudden. Yeah,
you are recording your own POV, right?
I am still
Okay,
recording
good.
my own POV. Little
Good.
Technical difficulties here that we're having. Not really difficulties, just because I'm also streaming this. So maybe you could catch one of these live one day. It's kind of like a rare thing, I would say. I think I've done this twice where we've done it live. So yeah, a bit of a rare thing. Shall we talk about Valorant, perhaps?
I suppose so. We have a few topics to get into. This is mostly going to be an episode where we do the preview of all the kickoff events. This is like your one-stop shop for all the preview kickoff. I know there's a lot of people. There's like Sliggy, Platchat, all these people doing predictions.
I'm going to do my own as well.
They're all trash. Every single one of them is bad.
Well,
this is the correct one.
Well, actually, no. Mine that I do on my own will be the actual correct one. This one I'm going to allow myself to be somewhat influenced by Elevated, but if you want to see what the actual results will be, well, actually, my predictions are always awful, so no. Let's just dive into it. Before we get into any of the Pickems, though, just very quickly, we're going to touch on just some little tiny topics, just some quick little news that's been going on. And our first topic on the docket is that Solo has joined GenG as their head coach. And you have written here, TMV's hatred level drops, ? Now, here's the thing. The GenG, dismay that came from me was that I didn't understand what they were doing. Now, here's the thing. From the outside, we often don't know what these teams are doing, right? Like, a team gets rid of a player. You don't know what the internal dynamic of that team was, right? And it's since come out that for GenG last year, it seemed like the internal dynamic, even when they were winning, wasn't that great.
Right.
So it seems like, okay, that makes sense that they would then make changes and try and look for the right people and try and, make a different team. How good Solo is as a head coach, don't know. Why is he joining so late in the season? Don't know. Was he working with them before? Do you know that? I don't.
I don't. I would assume no, because he was working with D+ until December 2023. So
yeah, so not as maybe as much time, and then that probably also means that obviously he hasn't picked these players. So kind of a bit of a weird situation, I guess, that he's now just joining a team as a coach that the players have already been decided for him. Like, bit weird. But yeah, will this help GenG? I guess we'll see in the Pickems how many wins we think they'll have.
He is a legend, and he did bring Korea.
No, I'm pretty sure he is real.
Okay. He did bring Korea to their very first LAN ever, which is impressive.
He's gonna just turn up, and it's like, will he actually be here? does he exist? Like, it's the fucking Loch Ness monster. You know, he's the Loch Ness monster of VCT Pacific.
You're really not beating the boomer allegations right now, my friend. And neither is Solo, because he's old, like me. And I don't know. I've seen some criticisms of him being like too strict of a coach, maybe, where like everything is too structured. But based on what we saw last year and the players that he has, maybe that's a good thing. I don't know. I feel like what do you think was the main problem last year, from your opinion, as the number one GenG hater, and will Solo fix that?
I'm not the number one GenG hater. I think what probably happened, if I had to guess, was like if you have a bad team dynamic, like you can, survive those kind of underlying problems as long as you're winning, right? And this made sense for how it went with GenG, right? Because they were winning at the start of the year. But then as soon as you start losing, like that's when like you can't have bad vibes if it's losing. Like if you're losing and you have problems internally within the team, like you've got no chance, right? There is just no chance. Which if that was the case, yeah, that's probably what happened to them. Now, with this new team, it's GenG are a tough team, I think, to like figure out as is Pacific in general, I think, for that middle pack. Which GenG will probably exist somewhere in that middle pack. But the thing is in Pacific, like you could, if you're like the top of the middle pack, you're probably going to international events. But if you're, bottom of the middle pack, then you're a team that needs a complete rebuild. Like that's the way it kind of is in Pacific, that there's kind of this big clump of teams. So will this be the change that, takes them over the top and over the edge? I don't know. There's only so much a head coach can do anyway, but maybe they'll have some interesting ideas. Maybe Solo will bring in, some interesting things. I mean, I saw D plus play obviously in the Ascension tournament, and I thought they were, decent. They were okay. But will that be enough? I don't know. I'm still a bit cautious about GenG. Let's put it that way.
Okay, fair enough. Another team to be cautious about is Koi, who just finalized their roster, and well, it's pretty good that they're about 8 days away from playing their first match, and they have now finally announced their final roster. Good job, Koi. Oh, sorry, Movistar. Movie star? Koi?
I think it's Movie Star, but I don't know.
Anyway, who cares? Because they're going to be bad this year. Thoughts?
Wow, that's harsh. But probably true. It's interesting for me, right? Like there's a lot of like this is a weird mix of players. You've got Starkso and Shados, and let's put like maybe the head coach Barbar in there as well, right? Of somewhat like established. I mean, Starkso and Shados have literally won Valorant tournaments, so very established, you might say. But, like established people in the scene who have like are recognizable names, and then you've got Camo and Grabinho, who's kind of coming in for Trex, and maybe some people know of Shadow, who's on Apex last year. He's been on the old FPX and whatever from a while ago, so he's been around a bit more, but it's a weird mix, and I just don't like everything. Just seems weird with Koi right now, right? Like just the trend, like if they sign these people, then it's like then they let them go. Obviously, they probably plan to have Trex at some point, but then he left. Like it just seems a bit. I don't know. I don't expect much from them. I mean, that's the thing. There is no expectations. It will be interesting. I mean, it says here that Starkso is IGLing. I don't know if that's like confirmed. Do we know that that is the case?
I don't know. I kind of hope that's not the case. It didn't work out well for Ascend.
And especially considering that like you've got Starkso, who I would describe, in the obviously we saw from our time with Ascend, he's a very, let's say, vibrant, like energetic personality, and I think he plays Valorant somewhat in that style. Certainly when he was, apparently IGLing for Ascend, they kind of went more to that style. And then you've got Barbar, who, with his time at Guild and now at Koi, seems to want to play the slowest Valorant possible. That to me seems like Maybe not the best combination if that is the way they're going. And to be honest, even so, I think this will be an interesting test for Barber, because if he is like, very like persistent on that we must play in this slow style, like I think that that's a style, like if you're playing an extreme style, I think you need to find players that fit that style.
Yeah.
Right? You need to like have a very clear plan of like who can actually play in this way. Whereas it feels like this Koi roster has been more of just kind of like let's just get whoever we can. Right? Let's just bring in like who's a decent player who's available, right? Which if
Yeah.
you're playing like a strict, very like we must play in this style, like that I don't think will go well. But maybe they won't play like that, right? Maybe that was Cold and Menta who was doing that the whole time, and
Right.
Barbar likes just going crazy. I guess we'll find out.
Yeah. I mean, I think honestly, Camo, I think could be very good. Like he kind of fried in tier 2 last year. His stats are very good. And Grabinho was also sort of like the hard carry of his team on the smokes roll. So I think that could be good as well. And maybe the roles look a little bit better this year than they did last year. It's a little hard to say, but it could be a little bit better than it was last year as far as the roles go. I could see this team actually doing like better than last year. I could see them doing okay. I don't think they're gonna be good, but I could see them doing better than last year for sure.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment of Koi. To be honest, again, like some of these teams are gonna win like no games or one game, right? Like that's just the way it's gonna be. But similar sort of thing you could say for teams are gonna like this time last year everyone thought RRQ were gonna be a 0-win team, right? But they ended up being okay, right? Like it's perfectly possible that some of these teams that we think aren't going to do well are actually going to be fine. A lot of people thought EG were going to be awful. They ended up winning champs. So you never really know what's going to happen. Not that I think the Koi will win champs, but who knows what could happen. Stranger things have happened. I'm gonna go a bit out of order here. Let's talk more about rosters again. You've put here Zellsis versus Pancada. Now, there's been some drama
Give me the
around
engagement.
this. Yes. Some drama in general about this kind of thing, and I think it was reported that like Pancada's still in Brazil, like he's not with the team, which is fair enough to be honest, because he's not on the team. And he got
Bro
like
thinks he's still on the team.
Yeah, he got replaced like in the dark of night. All of a sudden it was one moment he was there, the next he's gone. So I can understand being a bit miffed at that decision. But is there much to say about this whole situation? To be honest, maybe you just wanted to get it in there so Sentinels fans, they keep watching.
No, I'm genuinely curious what your take is on this, like on because right now there's essentially two camps. There's the people that are like, yeah, I mean Sentinels are just trying to put together the best team that they can, and I think that's honestly probably in the minority right now, at least like on like Reddit and Twitter. And then you've got like Zellsis is screwing over Pancada, Sentinels is screwing over Pancada, Rob Moore's the devil. And that's like kind of the majority. How dare Sentinels not play the best smokes player in the world? And so that's that sentiment. I wanted to talk about this because, first of all, I firmly disagree with that side of the argument. So maybe I should just give my take right now, and then you can disagree with me if you want.
Go for it.
I personally think that anybody who thinks that they should be playing Pancada over Zellsis just doesn't understand sports teams. And I think that it's very obvious that Sentinels became immediately better as soon as Zellsis was put into the roster. And granted, our sample size of Pancada playing on the roster was during the mess of last year, which was highly irregular, and it was not really his fault. I can't blame him for having bad performances when your coach has like a disagreement with the management about how to run the team. And then the IGL is replaced, and then the IGL is replaced again, and then the roster is constantly in flux. And yeah, Pancada actually had some decently good games when he was playing Viper. Most of his Killjoy games were bad. But with that being said, I feel like at this point in Valorant, you need to be flexible. And if you are not flexible and you can't pick up a role, it kind of just shows me that maybe you aren't good enough to be on the team. And I think that on the right team where he is allowed to just play smokes, sure, go ahead. But actually, I was so curious because I kept seeing this sentiment over and over and over and over and over, which is that how dare they not play the best smokes player in the world? Pancada is the best smokes player in the world. You got to play him. He's the best smokes player in the world. I just saw this over and over and over. And so I went back and I looked at his stats. And I have been benchmarking every single player on every map, on every agent for the last 2 years. Is he the best smokes player in the world? The answer is no. And the data says no. He's really good. He's definitely up there in a lot of cases. But is he the best Omen player? On a couple of maps, yes. On a couple of maps, no. Is he the best Viper player? I think on no maps is he the best Viper player. Is he the best Astra player? Nope. On maybe one map, he was the best Astra player. And I'm talking about comparing his loud stats to the benchmarks that I have on every single map with every single player last year. So the answer is yes, he's a very good smokes player, but is he an irreplaceable, the best 100% smokes player in the world? And should he always be played over everybody else, regardless of how he meshes with the team? Absolutely not. So anybody who says that is delusional.
Wow, that's tough. Tough love there from you, Elevate. But I'm with you. Like like a team, you can have a really good player that just doesn't fit in a team that well. Like,
Yep.
that's fine. Someone speaking a second language that they aren't that comfortable with, like in a especially in a game like Valorant where a lot happens all the time. It's important, and especially playing a role that maybe your communication is important as well, right? If you are playing smokes, versus someone, like what did Sentinels need? Did they need another like cracked aimer player that doesn't come that much? No.
No.
They've already got like multiple, you might say, like younger, like cracked aim players in like tens and second that maybe you don't need, maybe they don't come as much, I don't know, but they're like more primary about I'm gonna be a top frag at this game, that kind of thing. And so the team needed a Zellsis, right? Like that's what they needed. They needed someone who could help motivate them when things were going bad. They needed someone who could be a big personality to help lead younger players throughout difficult times.
Yep.
And Zellsis is a very good player, and I think honestly, I think this should be a good lesson as well. And I know you can't like change who you are as like a player or a person, but like it's valuable to be like being a good teammate means that you don't have to be as good of a player. Like if you're just a good person and help other people, like you're more likely to stick on a roster because teams need that, because that's more likely going to lead to success than just having 5 really good aimers. Like as soon as one thing goes wrong, everyone starts blaming each other and it's all all falls apart. Like that's not going to lead to success. So yeah, I'm kind of with you, to be honest. Again, as you were kind of pointing out, like I thought it was funny because I thought you were going to be like, oh, he's not the best player on any of these things. So when you were like, is he the best Omen on some of these maps? Well, actually, yes. Like Pancada is obviously still a very good player, and for me, in all of these situations, it's always like yeah, the way that it turned out and the way that it kind of came about, like yeah, Pancada got screwed. Like we can be real. He has a right to be annoyed, right?
Yeah.
If he has an absolute right to be annoyed, and he should be on a tier 1 team. Now, thankfully, and hopefully, the way that this goes is Sentinels realizes that and just says, Pancada, you're free to go wherever the fuck you want. And someone later on, in the season where roster moves can happen during the season this time, an MIBR, with fraud. Or whatever, and VCK, who obviously knows Pancada, or whether it's Furia, or maybe even Loud if things are going bad over there, right? Like some
Right.
Brazilian teams just picks him up, and it's like, oh yeah, this guy's still good, and he still has a place in the league, and all is well.
Yep.
Hopefully that's what happens, and I think that actually has a decent chance of happening as long as he's allowed to, kind of go as a free agent to wherever he wants. I think there's a decent chance that would happen, but yeah, that's just the way I see it.
Yeah.
And
I
it's
mean,
just the way it is.
I'm gonna save you real quick because the way that you phrase that was implying that Pancada is not a good person. Which
Oh
is
no,
obviously
yeah,
not
that's
what you
not
were
what
implying.
no,
But you
that
are
was not
correct
what I
in
was
saying
implying.
that, like, if you are sort of this person that goes like above and beyond what a
Yeah,
teammate is supposed to bring to a team, then that is a very valuable skill to have. And also,
more than Pancada, it's that he's probably going to be a quieter person who's speaking a second language that maybe he's not
right.
familiar with. You're also living in a foreign country where you're probably not as comfortable anyway. You're just not gonna be that guy, right?
Yeah.
But just if you are that person, that's just a big asset to have. If
Yeah.
you can be that kind of person. But yeah,
Yeah.
let's move on from that. Let's move to a quick little note on buff as well to Chamber. The buffs were what? The Headhunter bullets now cost 100 again,
Yep.
and the ult fire rate is quicker, was it?
Yes. It's now not as fast as it was at the very beginning, but
but one of the multiple nerfs they've undone.
right. It's now like, I think maybe slightly faster than the op, like
Yeah, I would think so.
minusculely faster than the op, or about the same as the op.
Yeah. So yeah, chamber buffs. What do you think? Meta defining?
No, I mean, this moves the needle a little bit. I think it moves the needle a little bit just because it does make him more deadly on ecos, which was a huge part of what made him really good. I mean, granted, nothing will replace the overpoweredness of the TP and the original fire rate of the operator, but I think it's probably still an underrated part of Chamber, of his impact in that meta when Chamber was the meta, was that like every eco round was scary for the other team because so often you'd see like Ye get a pick with a headhunter on somebody jump spotting, and now the round is like, oh shit, like it's now potentially a losable eco round. And so I think making that more possible by the headhunter bullets being cheaper is good, because I think right now, like with 150 headhunter bullets, a lot of the times you're almost just like not even buying them because you're saving for like full armor rifle or something like that. So I think it moves the needle a little bit. I know that you've been on record and you've told me before that you think the headhunter is kind of like almost like a non-ability, but I do think that it is somewhat impactful, maybe even more so just because of the perception that it will bring to Chamber. It's like, oh, he's getting another round of buffs, gotta start picking him, when he's already like a decent agent in some cases.
Yeah, the headhunter I don't think is a useless ability. I just hate the people who thought that it was like people often talked about the headhunter like, oh, if they only just keep nerfing the headhunter, that will fix Chamber. Like that was never the problem. Like the problem was always the TP. They just and I honestly think the devs knew the problem was the TP. They just didn't want to change like the fundamental aspect of the character. We've seen that before with like Jet as well, right?
Right.
I think for the signature abilities, the devs see that as like that's kind of what we created them in mind. Like, everything else comes from the signature ability. And
Right.
we kind of build out from there. So they're like really reluctant to change that unless it's like obvious that they have to, and we saw that with both Jet and Chamber. It's like, let's change everything else.
Mm-hmm.
And we've seen it with Jet and Chamber as well, where and Chamber, like this buffs is part of it, right? They're like, oh, all of those other little nerfs that we did that aren't really that big of a deal, right? Like we can give some of those back now that we think we've got them to like, we finally nerfed the thing that like actually matters. So now we can, start to undo some of that other stuff that maybe, won't like massively change the game, right? And I do think that yeah, psychologically it's big, as you said. Like just anytime an agent gets a buff, I was talking to you this about Cypher earlier. Just anytime anyone gets a buff, like people just psychologically think, oh, this is good now,
Right.
right? And I do think that is times, and there's times like, and I think you're what the most poignant point you made there was that like there was no reason to buy the headhunter bullets a lot, right? Like,
Yeah.
I'm sure they probably looked at the data and was like, oh, people just aren't buying it. Like people just aren't even using it. So probably something has to change. Pistol rounds. Do you buy like you could buy 4 bullet shields now if you want to, right? If you're on a map where maybe flanking isn't like a big deal often in rounds, or if you're playing like a default pistol round, you might go for something like that and be a bit of a scary play, or you could go 6 headhunter bullets now again, and obviously buy the trap as well. So there's definitely particularly for those early rounds, it will definitely make a difference when money is lower, and could be interesting. I think we will see some chamber. I still think that probably for the most part, Cypher and Killjoy will still be ahead of him overall, but you'll definitely see some of it, I think.
It is interesting how quickly Killjoy has kind of fallen off just because of the Cypher buff and the really, really small Killjoy nerf that happened. Like,
I feel like a lot of that is just perception. I still think Killjoy is good, like because again, a lot of, like, I think the turret nerf really got into people's heads, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of the turrets that you use, like, it doesn't matter, right? Like, it really doesn't matter. But I really think that again, that's just like a psychological change of like, oh, that must be so much worse now. Like in people's minds, like, oh, that just feels so much worse, even though it doesn't matter a lot of the time.
I do have one last question for you on this topic, which is, do you think that you're talking about sort of like the signature nature of these agents? And I feel like usually what's happened, and you alluded to this earlier, which was that like Riot tries not to touch like the signature nature of the agent, but they always end up touching the signature nature of the agent eventually. And so I'm wondering if like now at this point, will they just sort of like accept that usually it's the signature nature of the agent that's the problem, whether it's overpowered or underpowered, and that's kind of where they should start when they're buffing and nerfing. Do you think that they will like change their approach to changing the agents instead of doing all this sort of like pussyfooting around and like changing all the stuff that doesn't really matter?
But you can use a recent example as well with Sky, right? That again, like you could say that, oh, the nerf that's finally got Sky in a good place is the one where they finally decided to have a big nerf of what the Skybird does, right?
Right, exactly.
And so, but the thing is with Sky, again, they nerfed, they've nerfed the ult multiple times. They've nerfed, they nerfed the dog multiple times, changing like little things with the dog. So I just think that they are obviously we like when you create something, you have that love and affinity for the thing that you've created. And obviously for the game designers, they create these agents, they work on them, they spend tons of time changing them and getting it to what they think is like the perfect vision of this agent or whatever. So you can understand that like, oh, I don't want to change the part that I think is like like, the starting point. My initial idea was this, right? That you don't want to change that. I can understand from their perspective that, there's like a sentimental value almost for them that they wouldn't want to do that. But as you say, like oftentimes, and I think this is an interesting example as well for how you can think about agents and how good agents are, is that a lot of the time, if an agent has a good signature ability, that's a pretty good, I think, metric of judging like
they're good.
How good,
like
how
Sova
good is that
Dart,
agent in
Breach
general?
Stun, Jet Dash, Fade
Viper
Eye,
Wall, it often will be like if you've got an insane signature ability, then you're particularly if you're like obviously like for an initiator especially, right? Like because you get it back. But yeah, I think that that's a pretty good way of viewing that. Will they change? I kind of doubt it, but maybe they will, right? Maybe they will have learned by this point that some of these signatures are causing some problems. But shall we get into the real meat and potatoes of what this episode is really about? We've been
beans on
trying
toast
the
of this
veg.
episode.
We've been trying like the little parts of the meal that no one really likes. Now let's dive into the real stuff, shall we? And that's doing we're going to do a little preview of all of the games in all 4 leagues. Which one do you want to start with? Let's flip a 4-sided coin.
Well, if you had read my outline of the podcast, you would see
looking at it right now.
The order that I listed them in.
You want to go in that order?
Yes, I do.
Okay,
But we don't
well, we'll
have to.
start then.
If you have strong objections to going in that order,
No,
then
I
we can
have
do
no
something
strong
else.
objections to your order. I was just wondering if that's the order you wanted to do it. So we will. We'll start with the EMEA. Which, I mean, really, if you think about it in terms of order, doesn't make any sense. It's not the first one that starts. It's not the first alphabetically. Really, there's no reason to start with the EMEA that I can
The
think
reason
of.
that
But
we're
we
doing
will.
it here is because it's so boring and nobody cares about the region that we can get the people who are going to drop off now, or we can string them along to get to Americas later. So
Okay.
retention
Anyway,
hacking is what we're doing right now.
there you go. It's all about the algorithm for Elevated. That's all he cares about. Anyway, let's dive in then, shall we? Start with Group A, Foot Heretics.
Yep.
Tell me your thoughts. I
Um,
suppose, I mean, we've got a lot of games to get to. Are we gonna pick the winners from each group? Probably could have talked about this before.
I'm just gonna do the pick'em, and
Okay,
yeah, we can just do the pick'em. We can
sure.
we'll basically just
Well,
do a
then we don't
pick'em.
have much time
Yeah,
if we're doing all this pick'em. So let's
yeah.
let's
So,
get through it.
so I mean, I'm just picking Foot. I think that they're just clearly like they're coming into the season as essentially an established team with potentially an upgrade. Ned for Kiwi, it's like maybe a little bit of an upgrade, maybe a side grade. Either way, they looked good last year. They were going in the right direction. Heretics is on a full rebuild, and even if their players do slot in well with good firepower, Foot should just have way more going in their direction. Plus, they have like the best KO player in the world, and this is now shifting towards maybe a KO meta with Sky being nerfed.
Yeah, totally agree. Heretics are also playing with a sub, because Woot isn't old enough. Not like
Yeah,
a full
okay.
sub, because obviously like they have been practicing. I think it's with Patitech instead, but he's not going to be, or probably won't be on their roster when they actually
Maybe
start.
he pulls a Zellsis and
Yeah, unless he
snakes
just
Woot.
like plays insane, of course. Yeah, that's always a possibility. But I'm totally with you. Yep, Foot should be the clear favorites, and I would expect them to win. Giants Carmine Core, though, I'll go first on this one. Some people, I think, and this could be a close game, right? Like this could be pretty close, I think. But again, from the Giants that I knew from last year, even adding in the spice of Redgar, Giants will beat the teams. This is going to be my mantra until Giants prove me wrong. Giants will beat the teams that I think they'll be favored in the game. And I think Giants probably would be favored in this game. And so therefore, I think that they will win. Because I just have a trust with them. And I think it's very easy to overlook Giants because, as I've said many times, they are a boring team, or they were last year. Not because they were bad, they just had a boring feel about them. But they have some incredible players. I mean,
Yep.
Cloud could literally play for Fnatic and he wouldn't look out of place, right? You could argue that Nuki, especially Nuki on his day, is literally unplayable, right? So they have some incredible players on that team, and I think that Carmine Core again, kind of in a Heretics-ish situation, big rebuild, some young players, some players that I think have maybe a bit more proven than the Heretics players, but still think Giants should be able to close it out.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Carmine Core is undeniably going to be better than they were last year, but I just don't. I think that it's going to be. I think that people are rating them super, super highly right now, considering that they haven't done anything yet. And so, like
they're getting the buff of, oh, you're not the old Carmine Core.
Right. And they have, Aang, who I do rate highly as a coach. And they have, sort of this young talent roster that could be really, really good. But I have a hard time believing that they're going to come into the season and just be like insane from the get. So I'm going to pick Giants as well.
We're going Giants. Okay, cool. Shall we do the elimination first? Heretics Carmine Core?
Sure.
I would say probably for that one, again, the sub deal, I just feel like I'm just not going to pick the team with a sub. I'm going to go Carmine Core.
I think that's fair. I'll go with Carmine. I think this is probably like maybe a 55-45 or like a 50-50 even. Kind of depends on who recovers from getting slapped around in the upper bracket, maybe better mentally, and that's impossible to predict. So yeah, I'll go with Carmine Core as well.
Okay, the winners game though, Foot Giants. Sorry, Giants.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think about this one?
This is a tough one. It's like, do I believe that Foot kind of like keep it simple, stupid, just like playing aggressive Turkish Valorant, running people over is going to beat like kind of the slow and steady pace of the Giants? It might just be a bad matchup for Foot in that regard, but talent wise, I would maybe pick Foot over Giants by like a little bit.
Yeah. So you want to go Foot?
I kind of want to go Foot just purely based on like talent, but it's close, and I could see this being a bad matchup for them.
See, it's so interesting because I feel like most people will just blindly pick Foot here, like to win this group and not even think about it.
I don't want to go Giants, honestly.
I am with you. I think Giants can win this game. I think that, let's face it, there's how many groups across all these leagues? Quite a lot.
Yeah.
12. And in at least probably 2 or 3 of them, a team that you don't expect to win it is going to win it. And I think that this is a prime candidate for, most people are just going to put Foot and just not think about it. And this one's going to be a bit of a surprise. So I'm with you.
Army Corps beats Giants in the first round, and then Foot beats
that's
them.
Also a
Army
possibility.
Corps beats Giants twice.
I mean, this is an interesting group because there really is a lot of different ways it could go. But we did both kind of say, what about Giants?
Yeah, let's go Giants and then Foot over Army Corps in the bottom.
Yeah, I'm happy for that. Okay,
cool. I'm locking that in.
Group B, probably less interesting.
Should be. I mean, these look like very one-sided matchups in the first half.
I mean, Navi BBL has to be Navi, right? Like, there's no way it's not. And then Team Liquid Koi, again, I would say, like, it depends how much trust you have in Team Liquid, but I think I'd still pick them over Koi.
Yeah, I mean, my trust is not high in Team Liquid. I've been very, very adamant about that, but my trust in Koi is lower. I guess that's just the best way that I'm putting this. So I'm probably going to go Liquid here as well.
Okay.
So we agree on that? Navi over BBL, Liquid over Koi?
Yeah. But now BBL Koi, what would you go there?
I mean, my initial thought is Koi, just player quality seems higher, but they've also had problems mentally recovering from losing last year and potentially this year as well. Is this where BBL gets their first win of the season?
I'm going to say BBL win this game. But like, to me, BBL, like, they're going to be one of those Turkish AIM teams. And I feel like the Turkish AIM teams can beat the lower teams. Like, that's the thing. I don't think anyone will go winless in EMEA, much like they didn't last year, right? Like, we had a winless team in Americas and in Pacific. But I feel like in EMEA, like, there's just a kind of, like, BBL, even if they do end up finishing last, they will still win some games because just their style, I think, of the heavy aim sense style is good against, like, the other bottom teams that, maybe don't have all that stuff together.
Yeah, I mean, they've got good players too. Like Kushner's good, Paro's good, Elite's good. These players are all good players, so I think I'm in agreement there. I will go BBL over Koi.
And then, I mean, you're the resident Team Liquid hater, so I assume you're gonna go Navi.
Yeah, dude. I mean, if this team can't beat Liquid, then Artist wasn't the problem, and it's Angel and Doom Bros is basically what I'm coming down to.
No, yeah, I'm happy. Lock in Navi, and then I assume we're going Team Liquid over BBL, but
I mean, I feel like this one's maybe a little closer. Sell me on Liquid over BBL, and I'll make a decision.
They're the better team.
That's not enough selling. Why are they a better team?
Why are they a better team? Because BBL don't have players of the caliber of Yampy and Nets. Enzo, I think, is someone who's had a lot of time now to, on Apex last year, had a lot of time to kind of prepare his ideas. Obviously, 3 players in the team will already have a very solid understanding of what kind of things they want to do and how they want to do it. So in terms of their actual preparation, I think Team Liquid early on in the season could be more ready than you expect them to maybe be, because they have that familiarity with, there's kind of the coach and the 2 players that were there last year, and then there's kind of the 3 new players this year. So it's not like you're bringing in all these different players from all these different places with all these different experiences. Like, you actually have just basically 2 different cores that you're just merging together, which I think might not take as much time. And so you could see Liquid start off better, even if their ceiling later on in the season isn't as high.
We talked about them after Afrika. Remind me what your thoughts were of them early on in this off season.
I mean, I think you have never liked Team Liquid. I have never been a massive Team Liquid fan either. Like, throughout, I always always like that. I've remembered watching Team Liquid play Valorant. I've never been convinced by any of it, really.
Yeah.
Even going back to like the Sliggy Scream Navera days, right? Like, just always. It always felt like they were just,
it's like scrappier than it should have been, basically, at all times.
Like, everything always just felt like, even if they won, it was like, that could have been better.
Yeah.
Like, it just didn't, like, when Fnatic play when Fnatic were playing like, mid-level or lower tier teams last year, it was dominant, and there was no question on who was going to win, and it was just straight to start to end. You just knew, like, oh, Fnatic are going to win. They're clearly way better than this team. They know what they're doing.
Yep.
Whereas Liquid, even when they were good, always, no matter who's on this team, it always feels the same of like, So, yeah, I'm not a massive Liquid fan. I actually think it's very possible that they end up finishing like 6th.
You're doing a real shit job selling me on Liquid right now, by the way.
But Liquid will beat BBL. So pick Team Liquid.
All right, I will sell myself.
If you want to go BBL, let's go crazy. You go BBL.
I'm selling myself on Liquid. The only reason I'm picking Liquid here,
we should get like 2 like picks each, where like whatever we think we have to pick. So you can go BBL if you want.
I'm not going BBL. The reason I'm picking Liquid here is because I think it would just simply be unacceptable from the org's perspective for them to lose to BBL in this situation, and so they're going to do an insane amount of prep. And I think that Turkish teams tend to be a little bit on the simple side, and that will be sort of like a limiting factor to them beating a team like Liquid, who's going to do a lot of prep on them. So I will pick Liquid. I won't be happy about it. I don't think they're going to be particularly good this year, but over BBL in this case, they can go to the playoffs, submitting the Pickem.
Okay.
Last group, simplest group of all time. Vitality over Mates, Fnatic over Vitality, Vitality over Mates. Any questions?
Is there any chance that Vitality can beat Fnatic?
I don't think so. I don't think this early on in the year. Maybe later on when the players have more experience, but there's like, for me, there's 0 chance. Like, literally 0.
Okay. So that's earliest bracket. Do you want to do who we think will actually go all the way from there?
Yeah, I mean, we don't really know what the play. It's just a single elim playoffs, right?
Yeah, just give 2 teams. Who do you think?
I mean, I'm going Fnatic, and I'm gonna say Foot.
Wow. Okay. Even though you picked Foot to
I know it doesn't quite make sense. I'm just kind of going against
that's fine.
Fnatic, Navi. These are the 2 teams, Fnatic, Navi. I'm just gonna go out on a limb and pick Foot. I think they have a chance to maybe just be really hot and just run people over.
I'm with you. Like, sometimes, we see it all the time in sports as well. Like, teams, go on, like, they have to play more games, but they just play really well for those games, right? Like a lower bracket run or whatever. Someone just gets insanely hot, and it's like the other team has more time to prep, but it doesn't matter because that team's just on a heater. Like, could happen. Definitely could happen. I'm gonna go chalk. I think I'm gonna go Fnatic and Navi. I think that there's a lot of doubt about Navi. I think, or not a lot of doubt, but there's certainly like a lot of people I think who like believe that Navi won't get there. And of course, if they play Fnatic, then yeah, they won't get there probably. But if as long as they play anyone other than Fnatic, I think it's pretty reasonable that they could go. And if I'm right, if a team from I always hate how this works. This messes my brain. But if a team from Group A wins the second place thing, that means that Fnatic and Navi can't play each other, right? Because one of them has to play the team who comes second from Group A.
Yes.
And I think that it's pretty a decent chance that Foot and Giants, like whoever comes second out of them, wins from Group, like the little second place teams.
Yep.
And then, so I'm banking on that essentially. The team from Group A, and I guess I'm going against Team Vitality a bit there, but I'm saying that the team from Group A will win the little 3 second place teams.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
And then Navi and Fnatic will be able to win whoever they play. So yeah,
Sure.
I'm gonna go chalk with Navi. You know what it was? It was just watching that interview with Angel and Doom Bros, and like how they were talking about artists and how like
you're gonna have to link this to me because I haven't seen this. But if it's selling you this,
it's just
hard,
it's just on the Navi channel. And they're just
okay.
talking about artists and like how like they just love like they just needed him, right? Not that CNED was a problem for them or whatever, but just as we were kind of talking about with like Zellsis, right? Like they just needed, like Zipan's kind of a quiet guy, Sugetsu might be a bit quiet guy, Xiao's quite, a serious kind of guy, they just needed someone who was like, just like to make everyone laugh, when things were like tense and tough, like, artists would just say something stupid and they'd all laugh and then everything, and then they'd play better. Like they just needed that. And it just made me think like, yeah, like they're gonna be good. Like they're gonna be good. Like, I don't know.
It makes sense to me.
Yeah. So yeah, that's EMEA. Next up on the docket, you've decided to, randomly select Pacific. So I guess that's where we're going.
Pacific
to
it
the
is.
Pacific. To the Pacific Pick'em. Just let me get it up here. One quick moment. The first game will be T1 Bleed, a game that I will not be watching live stream on my co-stream. I already know this. Do you want to know how I know this?
Too late for you?
Too early for me. 6 a.m. this game starts. And look, T1 Bleed, I think this will be an interesting game. Very interesting game, potentially. And all of Pacific will be... I think that our Chinese Pickems, knowing very little about the Chinese teams right now, I think they're more likely to be correct than the Pacific
than this one's.
Personally.
Okay.
But T1 Bleed, our first game. Tell me, what do you think?
I'm just gonna go with my gut, which has been telling me that Bleed is gonna be very good this year.
Yes.
I think that T1 is actually gonna be pretty good this year, but I'm just fairly sold on the fact. Not the fact. I'm fairly sold on the idea that Bleed is going to be very good this year, and because of that, I'm gonna go with Bleed over T1. But this could be more like a 50-50 than anything else that I can think of.
Yeah. There's a theory that I've been kind of brewing that I think is particularly somewhat true for Americas and maybe also Pacific now as well. That like wherever the kind of established esports or like more media is in general, the teams from that place tend to get overrated. Like in Americas, I'm just going to be real with you. The NA teams get overrated in Americas. Like for how they actually perform and actually do.
Yes, they do.
They get overrated. People like remember this time last year, people thought the Cloud9 roster, the first one with Ye, was a super team. Remember when everyone thought that they would legitimately be like the best team in the world? Or 100 Thieves, for instance, were going to be the best team in the world because they had an okay champs. That didn't get out of the group stage, I don't think. Like that's just the way it is. I have a sneaky suspicion that the same thing might be true to a much lesser extent, I would say, but might be true for the Korean teams as well. Because you've got like a DRX who have been consistently good, but I mean they have been consistently very good, but also last year I tended to notice that like, and GenG did start off very well, of course. They got off to a great start, but by the end of the season, GenG weren't that good. And T1, they did make it to champs, but they weren't that good.
Right.
Right. Like they weren't actually that good. They were kind of a best of a mid bunch, let's say.
Yes.
In Pacific. And just so happened to be the one that, won the game to send them to Tokyo and champs.
Let's be honest. Pacific was extremely mid last year beyond PaperX and DRX. The rest of the teams were very mid.
Yeah. And so I've kind of just had this feeling of like, like, and I think part of the reason this is, right, that a lot of your, the analysts that maybe you trust, to talk about like the Pacific League are like, it's going to be people like Achilles and Paperthin or Chobra, right? Like you see them, you might see little clips of them talking about what they think. And like they live in Korea and, they probably spend more time with the Korean teams and the Korean players. And maybe that's, like secretly like behind the scenes, like that's their favorite teams, So like they speak good about those teams because, those are their favorite teams maybe. Right.
Wow, accusing other Plat Chat people
by the way,
of biased views. TMB trying to inflate his stock. So
every time wears DRX jerseys. So, you can't say if you try and convince me that Achilles is not a DRX fan.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Exactly. So I just feel like, that might come into it a bit. Or like, for instance, right? Those people are probably more likely to have seen Korean Tier 2, right? Which means that the Korean players who are now playing for the T1s and the GenG from Tier 2 before,
massively
they're more familiar with them.
Yeah,
they know who they are. They've seen them play. They're like, oh yeah, I've seen that guy. He's really good. Like, he's going to be good. But the truth is that that's true for all the other, teams in the other regions as well. So all of this
it's why teams like RQ and Secret were like massively underrated coming into last year when they were good. Yeah.
So all of this is to say that people are more down on Bleed than we were. I think we had them third in our ranking or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
And generally that, I've seen most tier lists of Pacific that I've seen have rated Bleed from anywhere from like 5th to like 9th.
Yeah.
So more in that kind of middle to lower pack. So we seem to be pretty high on them, but I think we double down and just say Bleed are going to win.
All right. Sending them through. Zeta Division Global Esports.
Man.
Yeah, this one's rough. One's rough.
I think Zeta Division will win this game. I think.
I fucking hope Zeta Division wins this game, and for that reason, I'm sending them through. Honestly, I'm just a big Depp believer. I think that Depp is like one of the best players in the world. I think that he is really potentially like a top 3 player in Pacific, and I am just banking on him like hitting his potential consistently this year. At least in this tournament. Like what I saw from him last year was truly like superstar levels of play.
Okay. I mean, yeah, he does have times, and there's definitely maps where he just fucking destroys everyone. I think it's a little inconsistent to like say that I would put him, maybe that high, but then again, who knows? And I think again, the thing is, there's just so many question marks. Obviously, we haven't seen any of these teams play. There's just like global. I have no fucking clue what they're gonna do. I have no fucking clue. Like everyone thinks that they'll probably be pretty bad, but like again, in Pacific, I genuinely would not be surprised if like they're a playoff team and they are, close to making it to international events. Even like I genuinely think that is a possibility in this league.
Yeah.
Pacific is just so unbelievably like close, other than PaperX. It's a mess. But I'm still gonna go Zeta Division. Let's send it.
Okay, cool. Sending him through. Elimination match T1 versus Global. Again.
You seem to have some T1 hopium still, and
Yeah.
whilst I have like the Korean conspiracy, I'm not willing to say that they'll be shit. So I'm happy to go T1.
Okay, I mean, I just think that Saya is really, really good, and I liked what I saw from Zacurate or Xcurate or whoever, and it seems like the Rossi change is actually very good for this team. So, because I have things that are positive to say about T1, and I have nothing positive to say about Global, I'm just gonna go with
Benkai. Hello, Benkai walkouts.
Okay, Benkai walkouts, but Benkai in the server, I don't know.
I really hope, by the way, because I think a lot of people have that opinion. I fucking hope Benkai fries. Yeah. I would love it if Benkai fucking fried everyone. And you know what? You'll be like, oh yeah, that'd be great. And everyone will be celebrating all that. And all you motherfuckers will have doubted him. I'm here right now to say, like, Benkai, and he's not IGIing, so he doesn't have to focus on that. Benkai's gonna fucking fry. And I'll be with him the whole way. Still, T1 are gonna win this game.
All right, so you're not with him. Anyway, let's move on to
No, I'm not with the team.
Yeah, but that's partially Benkai as well, because he's the heart and soul of that team.
Anyway, Bleed Zeta Division. Go on, how much? This is tough for you, I assume, because you're big on Bleed.
Yep.
You have a secret soft spot, not that secret soft spot for Zeta Division.
Yep.
Is your mind at war with itself?
Not really. I think I'm just sending Bleed through. I'm gonna go in. I'm gonna go in on Bleed until I'm proven otherwise, because from what I saw last year and what I know about the team from my interactions with Ominous, until it's proven.
He's an NA fan, guys. He's from NA. He loves Yay.
Until it's proven not to work, I'm gonna be in on Bleed. Like, if they get clapped by T1, then I'll be like, all right, everything that I thought about this team is bad. But until proven otherwise, I'm gonna be a Bleed believer.
Be fucking real close. And again, there's a lot of Pacific that I think is just a bloodbath. And on any given day, it feels like any of these teams could be anyone. My initial leaning was actually Zeta Division, but
are you gonna use you must use
my
this
veto?
Yeah, you can use your veto power.
It would be funny to do that to you and just make you pick Zeta. But no, I think that, like, us as a podcast are like the Bleed, like we are the Bleed believers. So I feel like we should just fucking like run with that,
okay,
and just stick with Bleed. So yeah, cool. Let's go Bleed.
Let's go.
And then Zeta T1 would be the next one, which again, I think this would be an interesting game.
This could be a banger.
Yeah, Zeta T1. Talk to me.
Ooh. The real thing for me on this one is whether Zeta have like that new wrinkle, because I feel like T1 is one of those teams that's gonna just kind of like, at some point during the game, they're just gonna break away from like, here's the structure and we're just gonna walk through smokes and shoot you and we're just gonna brawl you. And that's given Zeta Division problems in the past, is the teams that just kind of like try to bully them. And so if Zeta Division doesn't have that ability to just fight back and like punch back when teams are bullying them, like they haven't in the past, then I think that T1 takes this. But Zeta Division did supposedly improve their firepower this offseason. And they do have, with the 3 players that they do have, Laz, Sugar Zero, and Depp from last year, they do have that firepower that can match T1. I just don't know about Huron and is it Euron is the other one? Huron and...
It is Euron, right?
Euron, yeah. I'm not sure about these 2 players as far as like... I mean, I know Huron is good. I've seen Huron play before a little bit. This is real tough, actually. This is real tough for me.
It's less tough for me.
Yeah.
I want you to tell me who you're picking first. Make a choice, and then I'll say.
I'm gonna be that. I'm like, I want to eat Taco Bell. No, I want to eat Chipotle. Okay, babe, you just choose for me. That's where I'm at right now.
No, but I want you to choose.
I mean, I'm gonna pick Zeta Division just
Of course
because.
you are.
Yeah, just
And
because.
now, right, this is the thing. You're gonna be disappointed again. Because here's the thing, like they're not winning this game.
You're picking
They're
T1.
just I'm picking T1 and I'm pretty bullish. I'll veto you if you want on T1. I just
No,
have a strong feeling that T1 are just it's going to be the classic Zeta division. They're going to win the first map of this game and then collapse. They'll raise your hopes and fucking dash them.
no, I'm fine
Because
with
again,
T1 being picked.
I'm thinking through this logically again. That like again, there will be teams, of course, that go to like the lowest first, that then get through second, right? It's not just going to be all the winners who win the first game, like then go through, right? Like there's going to
Yeah.
be times where that's not the case, and this just feels like a prime opportunity to do that because honestly, like thinking back to some of those T1 performances with Rossi and Sire and stuff, I think they'll just probably be a bit better.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a very potential Zeta Division moment where it's like they beat Global, they look good, and they go up against a team that's like actually good, and they get kind of slapped around, and then you realize like, like their inexperienced players are like not ready for prime time yet, and T1 has actually played quite a bit in the off season, and they have very experienced players on the team. So
Yeah.
I think that's a pretty logical choice.
Okay, the next group. I mean, I guess it depends on how you feel about Talon, but this one should be pretty easy as well, I think.
You're not
DRX,
going to talk to me
DFM.
about DFM?
I don't know if this game will be at 6 a.m. If it is, then I'll get to avoid watching DFM. I might see if it's possible to just not watch DFM the entire season again. That would be nice.
But they're now Crazy Raccoon. Their entire roster is Crazy Raccoon.
Honestly, I might make that pledge of I'll watch DFM when they win a game. And I might not be watching for a whole year.
I'm going to veto this choice. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. DRX is winning this game. Okay, Team Secret versus Talon. Talk to me.
I think Team Secret will win. I do think that there is definitely a chance, a decent chance, in fact, that everyone is looking at Talon as like, well, they're the team from last year that was no good. But the thing about Talon that's interesting to me is that they aren't the exact same team that was playing last year. You know? And now look, I don't even know who's actually starting for this team because they picked up Surf as well.
That's the thing.
I actually don't know. But the thing is, Surf was good.
Surf is really good. Yeah.
Surf was good. Like, and the thing is as well, you have to remember, like, we're talking about like, a decent port. We've got Cruz from obviously the old Zellsis team, Surf from the old Zellsis team as well. Like, they beat like regularly all of those other APAC teams, the Team Secrets of the world.
Yep.
Like Zellsis would beat them like almost all the time to get to the international events. Like Zellsis would always be the one that was just beating them, right? So and Surf was good. So that gives me hope. And Jit Boys, I thought last year, on a team that was all over the place, didn't look that bad.
It was good. Yeah.
I have some doubts about, some of the rest of it. I'm not totally sure about Ban. There was that weird, like everyone always says about Ban, and this came out about, this came out somewhere as well, I think, about Ban, how like, he struggles maybe with confidence sometimes and stuff like that. Like, I mean, that's not going to be, I don't know, just the way they talked about him was just kind of a bit weird. Like, as if he was like, just like a lost puppy. And it's like, he's a grown human being. Like what? You probably know more about Governor in general than I do, just because been a tier 2 NA player for a long time.
Yeah.
And Lenny, I don't know, a ton about either, to be honest. He's on a team called Ender Dragon, which is kind of funny. But I don't know a ton about him, so we'll see, I guess. But I do think that there's a part of like the community right now who's just like straight up going, "Oh, Talon, they were shit last year. They'll be shit again." And I wouldn't be shocked if they actually ended up being, like in that big mix of teams.
For like third spot, second spot, yeah.
Like anywhere from like third to fucking 10th.
Yeah.
Like, they're just in that big soup with all these other teams.
Yeah. So my take on this one is that there's some chance that Talon just comes out and like, I mean, they basically just signed a bunch of duelists, right? They've got Governor, he's like a frying duelist.
The DRX classic.
Yeah, they've got Surf, who's a duelist. They've got who else that's a duelist? Jet Boys was kind of like a duelist a bit last year, right? I think didn't he play some duelists last year? No, played a lot of. He played a lot of Chamber.
Close
but
enough.
yeah. He's more of a Sentinel player, but yeah, I don't know.
Wait, he must have played Duelist when they played Triple Duelist. No,
I think we're thinking of they had another player that was on this team that no longer here. Garnets was the other Duelist.
Garnets, yes.
What
about when they played Triple Duelist?
Jit Boys is good. That's the thing. Is like I feel like this is a team that if they come out and they just like hard commit to playing some like insane Pacific Valorant where they're just like doing crazy shit and just like running all over the place and playing some weird comps, I think that gives them a pretty good chance to beat Secret, just because I feel like Secret is one of those teams that's like going to be a little bit more structured, a little bit more like, hey, let's prep for the meta stuff, let's like do meta stuff, let's be consistent. And if Talon comes in with some wacky stuff, maybe they upset them because it's weird and hard to deal with. But then I look at the coaching staff and it's a bunch of American people, which leads me to believe that they're going to try and force this team to play like Counter-Strike. And if that's the case, then I think the Secret wins, because I don't think this team is capable of playing Counter-Strike.
Do you think it's funny that the American coaches are going to try and teach someone to play Counter-Strike? That game that they historically are awful at? I think that's funny. I think that's pretty funny. Yeah, so you think Secret will just win? Basically.
I think they have a higher probability of winning, so yeah I'm going to go Secret.
I'm not against that. I could see Talon winning, but yeah, I'm not against it. Let's just go chalk. But Talon will beat DFM, right?
Yes.
Yes. And DRX Secret, talk to me about that, because maybe there's some doubt in your mind, depending on what you think of DRX.
What do I even think about DRX? No, talent-wise, they're going to beat Secret. They're just too good as far as the player quality goes.
And then the rematch, Secret Talon.
Fuck it, let's go Talon.
Okay. Yeah, I dig it.
All right,
let's go for it.
We're going DRX and Talon.
I love that. Just fuck it. No reason. Fuck it. They win the rematch.
All right, maybe the least interesting bracket to talk about of all time.
Is it? I feel like the GenG RRQ, this is, one of those teams is going through, and
PaperX is just taking both slots into the playoffs.
One of those teams is going through in second, I should have said.
Yes.
And I think there's a debate. I think you could make a real case for either, but I really don't know what to think about this game, so you tell me and I'll just follow along.
Okay, let me just quickly look at RQ's roster again.
So I'm going to play Rain or Unbind, they'll be fine.
I think I'm going RQ over GenG in the opening match.
Okay. I'm happy to go either way. I don't know why. I just have an RRQ. I just have an affinity for that team. I was always big on them last year. My GenG feelings.
Yep.
So I feel like I didn't want that to cloud my judgment, but then when you said it, I was like, yeah.
I kind of don't think this is going to be interesting. I think it's just going to be RQ clearly outclassing GenG because they kept most of their roster. They have the coaching staff from last year. Then they're going to play PaperX. It's going to be close. I think it's going to be close and exciting. PaperX is going to come out on top, and then RQ is going to stomp GenG in the decider.
Wow. So you think there's a class difference between these teams?
At the moment, yeah.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
Can you debate me otherwise? Tell me why GenG has a chance of going in the decider match.
Because I think that these teams are both in the soup, and I think any team in the soup can beat any other team in the soup.
You're so stew-pilled, man. Get out of the crock pot.
And also, the team that loses the first game has an advantage because they get extra time to prep for the second game.
Oh, that is kind of weird how that works.
Yeah. So losing that first game, like if you're Gentle Mates or Vitality and you're playing Fnatic, or if you're GenG and Rex and you're playing Paper Rex, and you're just expecting to get shit on, like if you win the first game, you're in trouble. You're in trouble. So
we're going Paper Rex in the winners, 100%. Yeah.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Okay.
And I'm happy to go Rex with you, but I think it'll be close. Personally, I think it'll be close.
All right. I don't think so. RQ goes through. Submit Pickem.
Okay. With that, let's go to the region that we know everything about. This is where our picks. I mean, unironically, I think these Pickems have as good of a chance of any of being correct. But we're going to China, which, as you can tell by my British sarcasm, we don't know a ton about China. And this is the thing, though. This is right now. I would say the same thing was true last year, though, for like Pacific, right? I maybe had more of an idea than I do about China because I knew some of the players and some of the teams a bit more, but there's still a lot about the Pacific teams that I didn't really know, right? There was a lot of players in Pacific that I didn't really know how good they were, to be honest. And, but now I have like pretty strong, or somewhat strong convictions about like, who's good, who's not good. And as the season will go on, those will become stronger. And the same will be true for China, though, right? Once we're through one season, we'll start to get an idea of like, which orgs are doing well, which orgs are doing bad.
Yeah.
And we'll get to know these players as well, probably quicker than you would think. So with that said, let's make an awful bracket.
This is going to be a good bracket.
This
is going to be a good bracket, yeah. Trace is winning this, and it's not close. The reason for that is they just brought their team from the tournaments where they were, third place to Rare Atom and EDG consistently, basically. They were like top 4, top 5 a lot of the time.
Yep.
They just brought their team in, and the one player that they have removed recently, Ice King, is now on Tai Lu. So, based off of that alone, Tai Lu picks up the dregs.
Ice King is a great name, though.
I will say, Tai Lu wins tags 100%. Slowly, great name. 9 Body, also great name. Ice King, amazing. And HFMI 0 DZJC9Z7, also an incredible name. So I think that Tai Lu actually has quite a bit of firepower and could be all right, maybe even good by the end of the season. But this early on in the year, I'm picking the team that's been together and practicing for a long time. Like, easy.
Fair enough. Trace win. I can dig that. And FPX as well against Nova. Now, FPX are a fun team because they're so fucking crazy.
They're also good, is the thing.
Yeah, but they are consistently like the second, third best team at any given time in China. So I'm just going to assume that that's going to be the case again and that they beat Nova. Am I wrong?
I mean, you're correct. Here's the thing. Nova's team is like brand new playing together, and FPX has essentially the same team that they've been playing with, except they've probably upgraded by picking up Life. Autumn is crazy good. Life is also crazy good. Hopefully there's no major role issues there, but I think FPX is going to be here. So I'm going to go FPX pretty easily there.
Okay. Now when we start to get to some of the lower team, like in the elimination game here, we got Nova versus Tai Lu. This is where, and we got some great names. I mean, we got arguably the best name, I think, in all of VCT on Nova. Oh, is that an 00000?
It's either that or it's maybe, do you think he's maybe trying to do like pitch accents from Chinese? So it's like, ooh.
I have no idea, but either way, what a wonderful name. And that alone makes me want to pick Nova.
Nope, Tyler's winning. They have better players.
But there you go. I've been overruled, apparently.
I'll even veto for that. Tyler's winning.
Okay, Tyler's winning. Unlucky. Trace for FPX, though. That should be an interesting game. These teams must have played against each other. I mean, maybe not with these exact rosters, but yeah, they have played. I mean, their most recent games. Yep. And interesting enough, Trace lost to FBX 2-1 in their last game, but they played, a couple of games before that as well, and Trace beat FBX 2-1. So this probably is going to be extremely close.
Yeah.
Who do you have?
Yeah, I think it's going to be really close. I think I want to go FPX just by player quality being a little bit higher and experience being higher in like high pressure games, because a lot of these FPX players have like been to lands before, right?
Yeah, I could, but then again, I don't know. This is just a coin flip. Yeah, if you want to pick a team, pick a team.
All right, I'm picking FPX and then I'm picking Trace for the second spot. So they're both getting out regardless.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Cool.
So next group, we've got JD Gaming, Titan Esports Club, Game 1, Big One, JD Gaming. Tell me about them.
JD Gaming is basically Rare Atom.
They are Rare Atom.
So yeah, they're gonna win. they're gonna beat RB, unfortunately.
See, now here's one thing that I personally have thought though, that everyone, like, oh, Rare Atom, they're so good, that's so good. Then why did they not win Ascension?
Because they choked.
Is that what you think it is? They choked, or were they just overhyped?
I think they choked.
Okay, that's fine.
I don't think that Dragon Ranger was all that good, personally.
Well, then how did they win against this team that's so good?
Because they choked.
Okay, fine. JD, have them winning. That's fine. I believe in RB. Not enough to veto you here, but I have faith in RB.
Okay.
But the team that you think is no good against All Gamers. What about them? What about All Gamers versus
All
Dragon?
Gamers. Are there any gamers on this team? No. Dragon Ranger Gaming is winning.
What about Bunt and Monk? We've seen these players
Actually,
before.
Monk is a good player. Monk is a good player.
Attacking Soul.
Monk is a good player. Sword was an assistant coach for Edward Gaming and is now playing. We've seen how that goes.
To be fair, some teams with assistant coaches did win games last year. I just want to point that out. But okay, you want to go Dragon Ranger, and you know what? So this is a rematch of Ascension. I'm going to use my veto. Dragons win.
Dragon goes first spot.
They win. I'm vetoing you. This team, there will be in their head.
Okay.
Rare Atom / JD cannot beat them.
Okay.
And even if you think they're awful, they go through first.
Okay. Elimination match. Titan Esports versus All Gamers. RB wins. Even if he's not playing.
And then the rematch JD versus Titan.
Yep.
You going JD again?
I'm a big fan of the rematch going the other way. I just don't know who's playing for this team.
Go JD Gaming.
I'm picking JD. All right, Dragon Ranger and JD Gaming.
Okay. My favorite team, Wolves Esports versus Billy Gaming.
Will they upset Billy Gaming?
No.
Why?
Because BLG, even though they had a pretty rough off-season like events and stuff like that, they weren't doing that great. Wolves have like 8 players. And I have no idea how that's gonna work. And also, Wolves is like Wolverhampton is maybe 40 minutes away, 45 minutes away from where I live.
You're bringing this back to just being a British violence moment.
And there's no way with the people with that accent. And if any of you doubt me, go and type in Black Country Accent UK and listen to how stupid it sounds. Doesn't sound anything like me. I know, again, a lot of you not from the UK, you'll be surprised. Like, what? You live 40 minutes away from somewhere? They sound nothing like me. Go and type it in, and you'll be like, there are people that speak like that? Like, you'll think they're doing a voice, like, legit. It's ridiculous how stupid they sound. But they're not doing a voice. But that's what people from there sound like. Not that it has anything to do with this game or the Chinese players playing in it. But BLG will win because they beat FNS twice.
Okay.
And that is very funny looking back, that everyone thought NRG were really good. And honestly, is a sign, I think, that again, in general, when people do like tier lists of all of the teams together, I think the Chinese teams, particularly the like middle, lower Chinese teams, are being underrated a lot.
100% agree.
A lot of people have BLG like in that lower, like this team isn't very good tier. But like that team beat, all your little NA favorite players, like Som and FNS, those people you think are like the god's gift of Valorant, and like Crashies and Victor, that pair core who's going to carry NRG and help them to win champs this year. They got beaten by a middle of the pack Chinese team twice, and the second time it wasn't even fucking close, and they looked very clearly like the better team. And then, I mean, to be fair, BLG also then gave EDG a game as well. So,
yeah,
BLG are winning.
Okay. They haven't looked particularly good since then, but they haven't been bad. I mean, they did beat Trace, but they lost. They also lost to Trace. They lost to Titan. They've been losing quite a bit in China recently.
Yeah.
So, I mean, going to the winners bracket, I assume you're just picking Edward Gaming.
One might assume, but you
Chinese
assumed
rivalry?
correctly. You assumed correctly. I'm picking EDG.
Okay. I mean, part of me kind of wants to pick Billy just to be like, oh, the Chinese rivalry is close, but I just don't see it happening.
EDG have a mental barrier.
Yep.
Against all of the other Chinese teams.
Yep. Until they lose, I think that's probably going to be the case. It's going to be like the DRX thing in Pacific. Until a team can actually beat them, they're going to be unbeatable. Billy's beating Wolves again. So,
yay!
Billy. Cool. China done.
Oh wait, we didn't say who was going to go from Pacific. I don't think, did we?
No, we didn't. Okay, yeah. Who are the two teams that are going to Madrid?
Paper Rex and DRX.
God, I hate you. Paper X and Bleed are going.
Wow, okay, that's cool. And then from China, EDG and I'm going to say EDG and Trace.
Okay, I'll go EDG and FPX, but I think it could be Trace as well.
Okay, there you go. And then finally,
everybody's favorite region, especially TMV's favorite region, North America's.
That genuinely does annoy me consistently when people say NA teams, like to refer to Americas. Like that just annoys me, just in general. Like, yeah, fuck you. Anyway, first game is everyone's favorite team, as I was just talking about, that team that lost to Billy Gaming, even when they guaranteed they would not.
Yep.
They lied to you, America.
We rated Furia last in our power rankings, I'm pretty sure.
We did put Furia last, which was a bold choice at the time, and it's still a bold choice now. Maybe even a regrettable decision.
Yeah.
But they're not better than NRG. I feel pretty confident about that.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. I mean, man, if they just have like a mess of comms, no. I can't talk myself into this one. NRG's win.
Yeah, there we go. Good start. Let's get bold though. Down the line. Cloud9 MIBR.
Please.
Let's get bold.
Do it.
Is Cloud9 beating MIBR? Is this where we get bold and we say, MIBR, you interviewed Fraud. You seem to like him. Is he gonna be the difference for MIBR? That's a question.
That is a question.
See, I can't see your face. You can't just pause that long because you might have fucking disconnected. See, this is the thing. I'm gonna pull back the curtain again, the Wizard of Oz style, and I can't see Elevate's face, and right now I'm not sure if he can see mine. So when he just pauses like that and he's just thinking, I don't know if like, oh shit, he's offline. His internet went down. Fuck.
I'm doing
Cloud9
my
are beating
TMV
MIBR.
impression right now.
Fuck, Cloud9 are beating MIBR. Fuck it, they beat NRG too. But unironically, the second part is true.
Cloud9's beating NRG.
I really want to do that. See, I
kind of want to just pick MIBR over Cloud9.
Oh, okay. Well, if you want to do that, then fuck me, I guess. No, I disagree with you pretty heavily on that. I think Cloud9 are actually gonna be decent. Like, especially for a team that I think, like for me, like watching Cloud9 in the off season, they very clearly have some like ideas. They're playing some different comps. I think they're playing like Raise Yoru, like on Sunset and stuff like that. Like I think they can make it work. Now I do think, in fairness as well, Zephyr is a very good Sky player, so the Sky nerf might hurt them. Like if like that might be a problem, possibly.
Yeah.
But I still think though, even with that, I don't know. I have some, like, I would say that Cloud9 are like the somewhat of the. Actually, no. We'll get to that when we get to that. Cloud9 aren't the Giants. Like, I'm more bullish on Giants and EMEA than like most people are. I think.
Yep.
I think I'm a bit higher on Cloud9 than most people are here.
Yeah, I mean,
tell me why MIBR are gonna fucking beat them.
I mean, they're not. I think Cloud9's gonna win. I think that Cloud9 historically, I think that Cloud9 and EMEA coached teams tend to be a little bit ahead of the meta sometimes. Like he's like not afraid to experiment with stuff. And I could see this team being kind of like on that V1 type of wave where they start out strong and then kind of peter off towards the end of the year. I mean, I guess kind of like last year's Cloud9 as well.
They're going to play all fucking lineups like V1 did. Fucking lineup Larrys.
Yeah, but I mean, I can see them being pretty good, at least to start the season. So I'm going to pick them as well.
Okay. Furia MIBR. Now, again, how much do we want to really dig into Furia? How much do we really want to fucking let them know, put them on standby that we really don't believe in them?
Furia is losing. MIBR goes on.
There we go. Just like that. It's done. It's done. Look, I think this will be a close game. We could see some real Brazilian jail Valorant come out.
It's gotta be jail Valorant for sure. I could
really see that with Furia.
I mean, it's gonna be MW0 dropping 35 kills and losing like every map.
Furia gonna be the BBL. The problem is that I don't think that in Americas there's enough. I mean, 100 Thieves will probably lose to it, like just the high firepower team that just kind of run strategically, maybe not as like there isn't as much depth, but you just have a lot of firepower. Furia are the BBL of Americas, I think, this year.
You're just saying that. Wait, you're calling a Brazilian team the Brazilian butt lift of Americas?
I suppose, in a way, yes. But tell me about NRG Cloud9. Tell me why I shouldn't veto Cloud9 winning.
Because energy clears them player to player in terms of firepower on every single role.
See, now that's a point that probably a lot of people would expect. And that's something that, would make sense. The thing is, though, hear me out. NRG, Chet-led teams always start off shit. They're always shit when they start. And I think particularly when they play against teams that, play cringe comps, which I think Cloud9 might.
Yeah.
That they struggle. And they're more of a team that is going to do better against, when they know what's happening and they can come up with like a solid game plan ahead of time. But of course, you won't know what's going on in a lot of these early games, right? The other team, fuck knows what they'll do. So I think that there's a much bigger chance that Cloud9 win than a lot of people are giving Cloud9 in this kind of game if they get there.
Yep.
I accept that NRG the favorites, and if you are bullish on NRG, pick it. But if not, I hope to have created some doubt in your mind.
No, I'm picking Cloud9. And
whoa!
The reason I'm picking Cloud9 is because I could definitely see this NRG team being one of those teams that's like, these guys are so fucking bad. Like, what are they doing? As Vanity gets like 2 kills in a weird spot with a judge. And they're not going to have the FNS voice that's going to be like, you guys, like, take this game seriously. I mean, not that Ethan can't do that and doesn't have like the huge experience factor from CS, and he's like one of the best players in Valorant. But I think that this is a roster. If there's any roster in North America that could have that like ego, that's going to be like, these guys are so shit. Like, they're not going to be in this spot. They're not going to walk through the smoke. They're not going to do this like dumb thing. Why are they doing that? You know, it's going to be NRG. And Cloud9 is going to be doing that shit. Jake is known for walking through smokes by himself and shooting people. Whippy is known for doing that type of stuff. Vanity is known for being cringy. Like, all of these players are going to be doing the stuff that's going to piss NRG off, and it's going to tilt them, and they're going to win.
There you go. You heard it here first. But then NRG beat MIBR.
Yeah, that's not going to be close.
Okay, there we go.
That's not going to be close. All right, so Cloud9 and NRG go through in the top. Brazilians, direct all of your angry, violent DMs to TMV. He has a bigger Twitter following than I do, so there you go.
Anyway, right, I've got it that we're an hour 30 in. I think we can do a solid hour 30 on this group next.
Okay.
Loud Sentinels.
We should just sit here for engagement. Just say Sentinels a few more times.
Man, Sentinels. Loud.
Again.
Sentinels versus Loud. I don't know what the Super Bowl numbers were. Probably pretty fucking big. But it ain't fucking touching whatever this is going to do. Sentinels Loud.
Yep.
Whew.
Sentinels versus Loud.
So you picking Sen?
Man, am I picking Sentinels?
I don't know. Are you?
Ugh. Is QCK or 2Es the duelist?
I don't know.
The rumor is that it's 2Es, right?
I don't know.
The rumor was initially that it was 2Es. We look at 2Es' most played agents. It's Jett, Raze. If we look at QCK's most played agents, it's Jett, Viper, and then Reyna. I can see your camera, TMV.
I'm picking Sen. Sentinels are winning it.
God, this is so hard.
No, I'm picking Loud. Let me tell you why Loud are winning. Let me tell you,
please, dude. I need help. I find it so hard to bet against Sodak.
And let me fucking tell you right now, Sunshine, why Loud are winning this game. It comes down to one simple fucking word. His name is fucking Sadak. I don't know if you know the guy.
Yeah.
He just has a fucking better idea of what's going on in this game than fucking most other people. Like he's just that, like everyone is talking about, oh, Sentinels are cooking up this and cooking up that. Loud might have cooked something up. They might not. Honestly, I don't even think it fucking matters. They just know what they're doing. And the players will have been, they had a young roster last year, right?
Yeah.
But obviously now, they went to the lock-in final. They've been to, Tokyo and champs and whatever, and gone pretty far and been in big games and know what it's like. I just think that it's like when this is the 49ers playing as the Chiefs. This is the team with all the hype that, you know, it looks really good on paper that has never actually won a title, playing against the team that does consistently go deep, that has been there a bunch of times, that does know what they're doing, that on paper maybe doesn't seem as good as maybe you would think. And you know who wins those games? The team that's done it all the time.
Oh my
And that's
God.
Loud. And Sadak is just not going to lose to Sentinels.
You're sports pilling me so hard right now. I'm so sports pilled myself that I have
Sadak is Patrick Mahomes.
God. Whoa. Okay. Let's
There you
go back. Sadak is more like
And
Peyton
he talks
Manning.
like Kermit the Frog.
I can't get behind Sadak being anybody from the Chiefs. Fuck the Chiefs. He can be John Elway. He can be Peyton Manning. He can be Steve Young. He can be Troy Aikman. He can be any of these old school great quarterbacks. He cannot be anybody from the Chiefs.
Okay, he's Andy Reid. I don't know. Anyway, Loud win. That's all I'm gonna say. Like, I can just see it now. Like,
are you gonna veto this if I say no?
No. But like, in my opinion, right now, right? Like John will have not been in a game like this, and I think and Sadak has been in many games like this. Like, where there's a lot of people watching.
Loud is gonna pull Sentinels in the shit. They're gonna pull them into the mud. I know it. They're gonna. Here's my theory on Valorant. I was preaching this the other day to a team. I did a session with this team that's gonna be in the open qualifiers for NA today, and I did a coaching session with them. And my theory on Valorant is that you must aim to make the game as unfun for the other team as possible. That is your goal. It's not to win the game. It's to make the other team as miserable as possible. And Loud is going to pull Sentinels into the mud. You're going to be like, oh, you think you know what pressure is? Because you're on Sentinels and you have to deal with social media pressure. You don't know you don't even know what pressure feels like. Here you go. This is what it feels like.
Wow, there we go. Loud win.
Oh, I can't believe I just did that to Sentinels.
They're not out yet. Leviathan 100
My
Thieves.
Sentinels.
Tell me why 100 Thieves have a chance against Leviathan.
Because Ospas is not happy that Noswor's is not his teammate anymore. Because there's already trouble in paradise. Because Boostio is the truth. Boostio is a world champion. Boostio is, in fact, Captain America. And he's not going to lose on home soil. He doesn't lose on home soil, in fact.
I mean, EG did lose multiple games last year.
No, they didn't. They won champions. And their story was one of dominance from start to finish. They were not the underdog. Potter came in as the most cocky coach. EG was easily the best team starting last year. Am I wrong about any of that?
Just already click Leviathan. We don't need to spend too much time with it. I think even the NA fanboys don't believe in this one, which tells you all you need to know.
Okay, fine.
Like, and I think that...
Also, okay, stop.
Go on, I'm stopping.
There's a very good chance 100 Thieves could win this game. But
there is a chance that they win, yeah.
That would deny us having Sentinels versus 100 Thieves for the Clout Bowl, which we must have.
Yeah, we must. The script writers
must have the Clout Bowl.
Joe Biden demands the script to be that way.
Exactly. And when Sentinels beats 100 Thieves in the bottom bracket, Taylor Swift will come out and endorse Joe Biden.
Yes. I agree.
No, okay. Tell me about the winners bracket. Loud versus Leviathan. Ospas versus his old team.
Are you saying Sentinels will beat 100 Thieves? Let's just start.
No, we're not talking about elimination yet. We're talking about winners bracket first.
I'm going to go out on a massive limb here. And I think Loud are going to win this game. I think that Loud... I don't know what it is. My love for Sadak, apparently. I just trust that, like... much like they did last year at lock-in when they just came in, when they have time to just cook shit up, that it's good and that it will work. And I just trust them to be able to find something that works for them. And yeah, I just have a belief. There is a part of me, a real strong part of me, that does believe that Leviathan like might struggle. Right? Again, like as we were saying, like when we were coming into this, last year,
Hmm.
everyone was talking about all these different super teams, right? About like Fnatic are a super team, which they actually were, right? But
Hmm.
then you've got, oh, Cloud9, they're a super team. And oh, what about, fucking a Team Liquid? That's a super team, right? The thing
Hmm.
is, like Cloud9 disbanded straight away. Team Liquid were a mess for most of the year, especially early on in the year. Team Liquid were a massive problem, right?
Yep.
The like there's a part of me that thinks that could happen to Leviathan, right? The Leviathan do a Team Liquid
Hmm.
and just like even and I should have brought this up when we are talking about the 100 Thieves game. That could happen to them versus 100 Thieves,
Hmm.
I think, and that happens. But I do think that there will be again in my mind, Loud are like I've said this before, but they're like the Real Madrid or Barcelona of VCT Americas, I think, where they even if like on paper it looks like they're the underdog, they go into every game and like, no, we're the favorite. Like even if like everyone says, no, you're not the favorite, they'd be like, no, we're the favorite.
Hmm.
Like they just like believe, oh no, we're the better team. Not that they would say that out loud, before a game or anything, but just like in the back of their mind, they believe,
They have that like quiet confidence that's really
yeah, they
deadly. Yeah.
just believe like we're gonna win this game. Like we are we're better than them. And I think that for Leviathan, they still I don't know. I guess I need to be shown that it's gonna happen. That
Hmm.
you've got all this mismatch from all these different positions. And again, I think that, it's King versus Sadak, and I trust Sadak more in that situation personally.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm on the same page. This is supposed to be like a debate podcast, but you're just spitting facts. I can't really disagree with that. It's like they have Loud. I mean, they have Sadek still, and they have the coach who was with them last year. Like, it's not fraud, but they still have the same coach who's been with them for a while with SDK, right? And so their system is going to be the same, or not. It's not going to be like identical because Fraud was very clear that he did a huge amount of the strategic stuff. Like he gave them all their pistols. Like he did a lot of stuff for them when I interviewed him. But SDK was there the whole time. Like he's been watching how this team was run, and I'm pretty sure that not too much is going to change. They subbed in one player, right? One player replacement. So they still got the vibes. They still got the confidence. They were top 3 in the world last year. And as good as Ospas is, I mean, it's really going to be a question of how this team comes together for Leviathan. So I'm on board. I think Loud goes.
Okay, let's talk about Sentinels 100 Thieves then. In my mind, Sentinels are just a better team. But I could be convinced. Could I? Could I be
Mm,
convinced by 100 Thieves?
again, it's like I want to have a discussion about this, but the only thing that
See,
would make the only thing that would make me believe that 100 Thieves beats Sentinels here is if Boostio like literally is Captain America. He's like the super soldier. You just put him on any team and he instantly makes them just god tier because of his confidence. And I just don't really see that happening here. Like
it's
Sentinels
so
has
interesting.
shown us a lot. Sentinels has shown us a lot in the offseason. Is it
It's
too
so
much?
it's so interesting where my mind went because I was like, at first I was like, "Are Sentinels going to beat Loud?" Like, oh, that's gonna be close. And then I pictured this game, and I was like, "Wait a minute, I can see the Sentinels team losing this game." Like I actually could see it. Like at first I was a doubter, but now I have seen the light. Like I've I Sentinels what they've shown us so far in like the off season has been good.
Yeah.
But the off season doesn't mean shit as 100 Thieves can attest to themselves.
Yes.
Because they
From
were the
last
kings
year.
of the off-season last year,
Yeah.
and then was shit. And a part of me is wondering, what if that is just like Sentinels? Like, yeah, they can win these tournaments in the off-season when things aren't that serious and no one's trying, but in the crucial, like, clutch moments,
Right. This is for Masters Madrid. You have to keep reminding yourself, this is literally a qualifier for a Masters tournament.
yeah, like, what if they, like, what if, again, like, what if John panics, right? What if he just panics in like a close game? Like, what if he's just panicking? And Bustio's a fucking champs winner. He's not going to be, he's going to be like, this is a fucking Mickey Mouse to what I've seen. And,
Yeah,
and
this
so
is
I
this
do
is
have.
getting too real for me right now. Like this is actually getting too real for me right
Could
now.
we
Because
actually send Sentinels out straight away? That would be so funny.
it
There's
would
also that
be
part that's like,
oh, it's so believable though, dude. Like there's so much stuff going on around, like all of the fan pressure of being like, even as happy-go-lucky as Zellsis is, the fan pressure of being like, I can't fuck up. I can't have a bad tournament now, because if I have a bad tournament, dude, the pitchforks from Brazil are out.
oh my god,
They're on fire. There's literally people coming to his house and like egging it. There's all of Brazil is coming to America. We're not going to Brazil. Brazil is coming to America, and they are removing Zellsis from the team and putting Pancada back in. That's what's happening if Sentinels lose here. And that's a lot of pressure.
Oh my god. Like, that's the thing. It's such a crazy thought, because like I feel like Sentinels fans and like just the general vibe around everyone right now is that if you asked everyone, they'd be like, no, Sentinels are good. They're gonna be good. Like, I feel
Yeah.
confident that they are good. But as
Yeah.
soon as you like actually start thinking about how this might play out,
Yeah.
particularly if they lose that first game against Loud, which is definitely obviously no, like, even if you're the biggest Sen fan, you have to admit that like there's a
Yeah.
decent chance Loud can just easily win that game.
Yeah.
Like, you can start to really see, like, oh shit, what if this goes wrong? Like,
Yes.
oh shit, like, what if this goes awfully?
Yep.
Are we gonna do it?
Yes, we're doing it.
We're gonna do
100
it!
Thieves is going through. We're doing it. We're doing it.
Oh my god.
And if you veto, I'm vetoing your veto. Nade shot on top. Big Biden retweet quote thing. Biden eyes. Just as we drew it up. Where's Nade Shot's tweet? Where's Joe Biden when you need him? Where's Joe Biden's eyes?
Oh my god, Joe Biden.
Joe Biden's eyes. Boom.
Joe Biden sent
right there. He
Sentinels
drew it up.
home.
Captain America.
Oh my god, Joe Biden sent Sentinels home. Put that in the trailer. Anyway.
And that means 100 Thieves is beating Leviathan too, right?
You think? Oh, here's the thing. This is where we could get really fucking mad. Ah, man. Is that possible? Is Bustio Captain America? There's no way.
Is Bustio Captain America?
There's no way, right?
Dude, there is a way. If they beat Sentinels, do you know how fucking hyped they're gonna be and how sad Leviathan's gonna be to lose?
But that's
to
where
Loud?
the crushing fall comes down. After beating Sentinels, they're fucking going crazy. They're hyped out their minds, and then they fall flat on their face and they play an absolute stinker against Leviathan and lose.
It's also very possible.
Go on, I'm happy to go either way on this one. Honestly, you tell me. You pick the game.
Let me just look at Bustio real quick.
Let me just look into his eyes. Let me just fucking look at this man's eyes right now.
I just need to look at Bustio for a moment.
There, right.
Honestly, I really do feel like the last 10 minutes have just been a fever dream of us trying to like rationalize why we're betting on like the 600 to 1 underdog horse at the track or something.
Just don't question it. I could see it though. And if it happens, we'll be fucking geniuses. And if it doesn't, no one will care.
Oh, that's a good point. Oh my god, I don't know.
Thieves might win against Leviathan the first time. Why has this 100 Thieves belief come from?
Yeah, what's happening? Who are
I
we?
don't know. No,
No, I'm
no,
going
no.
Leviathan. I'm going
Yeah,
Leviathan. I
let's
think I
let's
think I
yeah.
think the 100 Thieves is
Stupid.
part of it is like the NA versus NA rivalry. Part of it is the Sentinels crumble under the pressure, and part of it is that Sentinels have already shown their entire map pool to a coaching staff and IGL combo that was very good at anti-stratting last year. So I'm going to go 100 Thieves over Sentinels, but Leviathan is only going to have played 2 matches, not going to be enough time to prep for them, and their player quality is insane.
Yep. I'm happy. Am I? Don't know, but it's fun at the very least.
Bro, 100 Thieves and
Anyway,
Sentinels going out in Group B is some fucking crazy shit if that happens. For NA is going to be in shambles.
yes,
Submit pick
they
'em.
will be, which would be great. Anyway, on to Group C, finally, our last group, Crew versus G2. Now, I was gonna say earlier on the Cloud9 are my Giants, but they're not. G2 are my Giants. The more I thought about it, someone in the chat was just in my chat earlier was just like really bullish on G2.
Uh-huh.
I was just like, G2 are going to Madrid, G2 are this, G2 are going unbeaten.
Uh-huh.
And I was laughing about it, but then I started to think about it a bit, and I was like, it's the kind of inverse of Sentinels, where G2, everyone was fucking mega hyped. But like the guard plus Leaf, everyone
Yeah.
was mega hyped for that. And then they played in the couple off-season games and they didn't do well. And everyone was like, they'll be mid.
Yeah.
But now I'm starting to like feel like, what if they aren't mid? What if like everyone's initial thoughts was correct? And again, don't believe in off-season tournaments. Whatever you've seen in an
Yeah.
off-season tournament,
I agree with that.
wipe it from your mind. Other than the Fnatic are good, wipe it from your mind. And I think that G2 will be good. Certainly good enough to beat Crew, but I'm starting to think, what if they're like a top 3 team? What if that could happen?
You know
Leaf's
what I
a
think?
good player. Leaf's insane. Wasn't he like the highest or second highest rated player in Americas last year or something?
You know what I think?
Go on.
I think this G2 Crew match might be the best match of the entire first half of the group stage. Like the entire like openings.
Where the fuck has this come from?
You know why?
Go on.
Because okay, so I'm with you on G2. I think that the offseason was a farce. I think that G2 had like the most stressful year you could possibly have. I'm talking about the guard players. They were literally playing as their org was like, we don't want you.
Dying.
Please lose so we can cut you. All of your salaries would be gladly cut if you would just stop fucking winning. Like, they wanted G2, they wanted the guard players to like disappear, the organization. So the pressure on G2 on the guard was insane. And then they win Ascension, they're happy. Then they get the mega bag as G2 buys their way into VCT. And the guard players are just like, this is great. I'm going to go buy myself a car. I'm going to go take a vacation for the first time in a year. They just completely take their foot off the gas. Absolutely. All of the stress is gone. The come down afterwards is just like, I don't even care what happens anymore. Like, I won, you know? And then they go into these off-season tournaments and they get slapped around and they're like, uh-oh. All right, I guess we're back to the grindstone. And I think that they're going to come in and they're going to be really good. I think they're going to be really good. I'll go out on a limb and say they will be the best NA team this year.
Whoa, that is fucking hooking. We have gone off the fucking rails. We have gone off the side of the cliff. What is going on? What's next? What could we possibly say next that's gonna be even fucking weirder? Fuck it, EG. EG are winning champs again. Fuck the haters. Anyway, G2 are beating EG as well.
G2 are beating Crew. It's going to be a banger game. Kesnet is going to drop like 80 kills. It's going to be closer than expected, but G2 will win. Winners bracket, G2 clears. Evil Geniuses just does not have the talent right now. They will get better over the course of the year, but they are not ready to beat G2.
EG beat Crew.
Yeah, it's the classic Crew crumble. Firepower wise, they're crazy. Mental game, not there. EG wins. I'm on board. I don't even need to talk about it anymore.
Okay. Wow. And now, somehow, pick your winners from this.
G2 and Loud.
G2 and Loud. What the fuck? I was gonna say G2, but now I don't want to say G2 because you just said G2.
Dude, stick to your guns.
I'm gonna say that we're gonna get there in a weird way.
If you don't pick G2, you're a pussy.
I'm just gonna move past that comment, and I'm gonna say I'm not gonna pick G2. I'm actually gonna say that we end up, and then some of my picks you might have noticed. Oh, TMV is picks for who's gonna make the tournament are a bit like boring, and they're a bit normal. I think that that's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna pick Loud and NRG. I think we end up with like a normal looking 2 teams to go, but we just get there in a very weird way. And like NRG go through, like they have to go and play all the B tier 2 teams and whatever. And if this bracket was correct, can you imagine like Leviathan would have to play NRG like in the second place stuff, and then EG would be there too. And then it would just be a lot of fun. It would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. All of these picks are wrong. A few of them are going to be right, like DFM losing 2 games, but the vast majority of these picks are not going to be good. I have a lot of
confidence in us right now.
Okay, you're riding the high. You fully huffed the Boostio copium. I
disagree with him a lot. I definitely did not type that comment in my chat at any point during this podcast.
I've been told by my chat that I'm on cocaine. So with that,
you went crazy for a while there. I think we both did. I don't know what it was. Something about just talking about Sadak, I think.
Dude, something happened in Group B. I don't know what happened in Group B, but Group B was unbelievable.
Yeah, we went crazy for a second there. But like seriously, I like it. I could see it happening. Sometimes the visions come to me and I just think
you just black out a little bit.
Now, to be fair, the visions have been very wrong when I've done Pickems before. So if you're a Acend fan, good for you. The thing that happens though is this: I'm like ahead of my time, right? Like for instance,
oh, here we go, self-flagellating for the next
2022 season. I kept picking Fnatic to win all the tournaments and be the best team, and it didn't happen. But it happened in 2023. So what I'm saying is that Sentinels next year, unlucky. But for this year, who knows? You could be fine. But next year, you're going to lose. Okay, that's it. Fuck.
What do we do? Win! How do we do it? Fight! Who are we? Acend!